Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, the 19th of December. Oh my goodness, where has this last quarter gone? I don't know. Keep it spiritually simple is here. Sometimes I wonder why, because it's like the last couple months, it's really learning how to pivot. It's like I was just telling Kimberly, like it's like riding a scooter and it's got its brakes on, and then all of a sudden there is no brakes, and you got to learn to just go in one direction and 180 into another and sometimes 360. And so we're also coming to the end of the year of the snake. We're getting ready to go into the horse, and who better to talk to than Sedona horse medicine life coach Kimberly Brighton. So Kimberly, welcome. Let's chat. What the
Yeah.
hell? What the hell is going on out here?
Yeah. It's we're we just came out of the Mercury uh retrograde shadow period. So now things are flowing again as far as communication, but there's still some, might be some hiccups around that area or things coming in hot. We also, it was an intense Scorpio season. The last couple months has just been really, really intense energy. And now we're in fire energy of Sag, which is, the centaur. He's got 4 feet on the ground, aiming his bow at the bullseye of the centaur, or of the bullseye. Um, and it's really letting go of what no longer serves. And because we're still at the end of the shedding of the snake, it can be really, it's fiery, it's watery. There's still, groundwater trying that started back in October that's still, working its magic up there. So it's been going to the darkness, and that's not for the faint of heart. And as we get into the year of the fire horse, which is not until February, and then it's go time. But even then, with the energy of the fire horse, having obviously horses, it's like, okay, we still want to learn how to harness horsepower. It's not, the fire horse can be like, think of a fire horse, like think of a Ferrari. So can you drive a Ferrari? Do you know how to drive a Ferrari? It's gonna, so just always learning what our body is telling us. But right now, our nervous system is telling us, but right now it is, um, Mars having the squares that it's having. Think of Mars and that kind of fiery fighting energy that's out there. And I don't think it'll be a normal Christmas. I don't think it'll be like a soft, Christmas. I think that there's a chance for things to be very, very intense
Mm-hmm.
around the energies around that time, because they're intense now. And then we're getting ready to, we have a new moon today, and then we have the solstice. So it's darker days, winter darker. And, I just think, again, being patient with, we're having a human experience. We haven't done this before. So finding patience with ourselves, but also moving into, we're in Pluto Aquarius, but it's using your truth sword and setting boundaries, but still holding the highest good for the collective. And that's kind of don't be afraid to have people not like you. It's okay to set boundaries and use your truth, and not feel like we have to acquiesce to other people that are it's not an excuse, I guess, is to for people around you to put up with people around you that are, let's say the word activated. I don't really like the word triggered. You don't have to, it's okay to not be liked and stand up for yourself. There's a lot of that energy as well, but with holidays and stuff, I think people are conditioned that that's, you don't talk about certain things. Everybody's jolly, it's Christmas. And I think underneath that is a lot of fuck, I hate Christmas energy.
I think there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of Christmas just really isn't existing. It's a date coming up, but it's not really
Yeah.
existing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think so many points that you're making, are so valid and spot on. And when you were saying the truth sword, I was just seeing people just bush hacking, with their true sword, but be careful
Mm.
when you're bush hacking that you're not cutting somebody else up,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
I think that's a
So,
great point. Yeah.
yeah. So I was seeing that, but so many of us that have like what I want to call very little tolerance and patience right now. And that's mostly because if you've worked for years doing your shadow work, your masks are
Mhm.
all gone. So now you're
Mhm.
seeing the reality of the reality. And then you're
Mhm.
seeing straight through other people who still wear their masks.
Yes.
And then they blame others because
Yes.
they're still in that victimization, or woe's me, or it's because of all of this that I am not, right? Or I am, when you're going to recognize it coming after you.
Mhm.
It's all victim
Mhm.
stuff. And I'm seeing that. And of course, it's combined by, what you and I have talked about before. We're gearing up for the holidays, yet the universe is gearing down for less sunlight. So there's this natural law of wanting to hunker and go in. And then there's
Mhm.
this man made law that you better get out there and get crazier than ever,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
There's more
Yeah.
drinking, there's more partying, there's more stress, there's more inflammation of the credit cards, there's more
Mhm.
helter skelter because I got to do this, I got to please everybody, I got to do that. So, you know, what can we do while all this is going on in this crazy time? And this is for the viewers to
Yeah.
hear what you might have to share about, some of the things that might be going on that they could maybe get some helpful tips about.
Yeah. I think first off, meeting reality on reality's terms and being authentic and honest with yourself, and don't pretend if it's coming up that you don't want to go, be honest with yourself. And if you feel like this is the time for change, this is new moon and Sag, this is the last, we're preparing for 2026. We're setting the intentions. We are letting go of what no longer serves us. And I know that we hear this in the moon cycles, but this is, this is, I mean, we're ending the year of the snake here coming in February. And that is just, it's real. These energetics, this is a very real thing. And so if you're serious about wanting change, or you're, wanting authenticity, then claim it and be very honest with yourself. And as always, it's checking in. Like, I just had a session, and the moment that the mother and daughter walked on the property, my whole nervous system constricted. I didn't need to psychoanalyze it. I just knew that my nervous system constricted. I can analyze it later. But that was the first indication that this was going to be a session that no matter what I did, pivoting wise or where I was at, there it wasn't going to be it was going to be a tough session in that regard, because as a facilitator for wanting to help people move through that, I'm feeling their energy, and it's in my nervous system now, and I'm constricted. So how do I best serve in moments like that? Well, I'm very aware that I I feel a certain the feeling in my body. So I guess what I'm getting at is just just how are you feeling? How does it feel? Does it feel expansive or restrictive? Just start there. And if it feels restrictive, get curious and see if there's a way that you can shift perspective to ease that feeling in your nervous system. Some deep breaths, and then get curious, and then just continue being honest with yourself. It always comes down to just meeting reality on reality's terms, because the hardest lies to get through are the ones that we tell ourselves. And it's very easy to feel that way and then sugarcoat it, but it's still there. The true feeling is a restrictive nervous system, and that's not where you want to be. That's a beacon telling you something. So if you can, through thinking or feeling through it and seeing it, or, observing it in a different way, and then you come to a place where you're relaxed, and then you can, okay, I accept it on reality's terms and I want to go. I am aware of the fact that this could be bringing up some stuff, but I'm prepared to take a few deep breaths before I get in. I'm going to be responsible for how I handle the whole thing, and I'm going to be responsive and not reactive. If you can stand in that, then, you know, um, yeah, then enjoy it. But if you feel, if you can't get out of that restrictive state, and when you're honest with yourself, the answer is, I just don't fucking want to go. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. Then that's universe rewards decision. So if it causes you, if you're worried about making that decision and what everybody's going to say and what everybody's going to do, I would advise that we are coming into a time where your authenticity is more important than making everybody else happy and people pleasing. It just doesn't, it's enabling behavior, and I would like to see no, I would like to see people authentically happy and in their own true north path. And that comes with sometimes making decisions that are going to make other people a little upset.
Hmm. And you know, so many of us are wound so tight. It's
Hmm.
why many can't sit still for a meditation or come up with another idea or
Hmm.
bounce when adversity hits you, right? Make a quick left or a quick right to get out of harm's way because you're wound up so tight. Your own basic reactions are on lockdown. And so you're not getting the flow of information that bubbles up that gives you that instinct of, okay, I just noticed I got tight, like you said. Okay, I don't need to know the reason why right now. Just know that I'm acknowledging that it's feeling tight. Might be good, might be bad, but it feels uncomfortable right now. But I got to be in this reality in this moment. So let me face it, let me be with it, and allow it to reveal itself as I am present with it being this uncomfortable, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we all live in this world in these ways, but many of us will gloss over it and then act like, okay, that was fine. That went over. Okay, everything's fine. Everybody seems to be happy. Let's move along our merry way. But you still carried the tightness with you. You
Absolutely.
didn't take the time to unwind it.
Mm-mm.
And we all do it. And if you sit still long enough and do your breath work or just take 5 minutes to say, I need to step and just to literally decompress. And decompress means the shoulders come out of the ears, the glutes get uncrinkled because good God, what tight ass muscles we get. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, our asses don't look as tight as they feel. So it's really better if you just, sorry, I always say the things on my body, if they looked as tight as they felt, I would be, a model
Right,
somewhere, right? Because,
right, right.
you know, but we do have to pay attention to just acknowledging and the awareness and then just say, okay, I'm going to put this here in my peripheral area. I still have to live in this moment right now. So I'm calling on my guide team or whatever your belief system is. Just help me to unwind that so I have
Hmm.
better understanding that I'm not carrying it to the next presentation of whatever it is I have to do in my world of reality.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And then you're staying in the now moment in authenticity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm an emotional solar plexus in human design. So sometimes, working through that is so uncomfortable. But that's my design. And that's a majority of the designs are manifesting generators, emotional solar plexus. And so think of how many people out there that are, and we're the energizers, we're the builders, and we are the energizer bunnies. And think of how many people are putting their energy in building for things they don't want to build up for. And that's not just in business, that's in life in general. That how many people are building something that was when they check in, it's not actually what they want to build at all. They're not lit up, they're not in satisfaction. And those are the key kind of components of being a generator and manifesting generator. And they're 70% of the fucking population.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that's a lot of people in frustration. And of course the other designs, it comes down to people being in their design and doing what their divine mission is, and how out of alignment. And even I get out of alignment. It's not something that is, all of a sudden you learn human design and astrology and you're not ever out of alignment. That's just not the way this works. But when you when you commit to doing the great work, it doesn't end. And so every day is a check-in. Every day is an alignment. Sometimes every minute is a fucking alignment. And we are going through some really, like, literally the pressure to make diamonds. And I can't even imagine what it must be like to just be at the beginning of, or even not understanding why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and how incredibly difficult that must be. Because with know thyself tools, while it's still not an easy energy to navigate, I at least have an outline and a roadmap that I understand what planet. There's a square up there. Okay, so the archetypical energy, when I tap into my own energetic field, I'm feeling this way today. Okay, okay, how do I alchemize that? I know that it's going to Mars and squares. I know that there's planets going direct. I know that, I mean, that's why I love checking in to the weather, the astrological weather and the human design energetics, is because it just, at least I have an understanding of how to alchemize what's coming through, and a lot of times, I'll just be honest, it comes back to certain parts of inner child work. And lately I've been checking into 0 to 12 and safety, because anything that you're manifesting, anything, it all comes down to the root and childhood safety and inner child play. So that's something I'd recommend doing right now. Play. Find something that truly, connect with your 7-year-old right now. What did she love to do or he love to do? Now, for me, like I said, I've been checking in. This is what I've been doing this last couple of weeks. I'm doing a challenge right now, is because I didn't I I had no memory. I couldn't connect with a 7-year-old. I've become so focused on business and being an adult that and I'm around my horses, don't get me wrong, that I love that. But I'm talking about outside, because that's become business in some ways, which is where I'm
Absolutely.
in a where I'm in a redirect at. Because I have to be honest with myself, something that started as just what would I do for free and for fun has turned into a business. And so that's where I'm at in my shedding, is how can this be fun again? How can this be, light me up again? Well, find something to do outside of horses that you loved to do when you were 7. I couldn't check in with her. Now we've made some progress. I'm actually sitting down with her. We're having some conversations and we're having some fun. But boy, when you talk about tight ass, like, talk about shutting down parts of myself because I'm so focused on adulting, which I'm not really a fan of really any at all, but here I am. It's part of the deal. So just sitting with that part of myself. And so if you can just try to have some fun. Color. I thought about that, and then I didn't like coloring at 7. I know that, but
But some people do. It's some people don't realize that what an
yes,
outlet it is. I don't really like it, but once I get started, I feel, because it flows in my brain, and then I feel this flow, and then I see
yes,
something come alive, and I see
yes,
beauty, and I go, how silly is this that I'm coloring this ridiculous, but
yeah,
look at how well I'm actually
yeah.
doing it.
But you know
And
what I did
so
love
it
at that
does
age?
have a breakthrough.
You know what I loved at that age? Ad libs. Those where you
Okay.
read the word and you put in another silly word, and then afterwards you read the whole thing. I loved those. Those were like, then I was like, okay, I remember something, because at the book fair every year I always wanted to get the ad libs. And I was like, okay, that's a fun memory that came back. And so it's in there. We all,
Yeah.
unless you're a full-on MPD and psychopath, there's no inner child. But for the rest of us, there is an inner child in there that would like to play and have
Yes.
fun. And it is Christmas. So even if you choose that perhaps going home or certain things aren't for you, I hope you do something really fun for yourself, and whether it's make a nice dinner and watch a great movie, or do ad libs, I don't know. But because it is a time of celebration. It is you We're going into Yule, and that is a celebration time of the beauty of winter.
If you're in it to win it, what action are you going to take to do that? in the reality of the now, right? Because you got to face it, or you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get swept up in the current. Yesterday, I had an
Mm-hmm.
experience where I had an appointment and traffic was hellacious, and GPS was saying, no, turn here, turn here. I'm like, what? Why? Okay, fine. And everywhere I went, I felt like, oh, I was in what I would call the LA traffic. It's like, well, I went here and I'm in the same thing, but I'm further away from my distance. So I called the appointment to let them know I'd be late, and they were, yeah, about it. So there was a part of me that my mind's like, they're going to be fine. I'll get there when I get there. I don't need to worry about being in trouble at my age, right?
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
my body was like, when I started to pay attention to my body, I realized how much I was jacking my jaw. I was clenching the thing. My armpit was sweating. One armpit was sweating. I realized my butt cheeks were clenched. And then I was just sort of like, and then I tried to veer over a lane, and this lady just got right up on me and absolutely would not let me in. And she was looking at me like, if she dared let my little car in, it would have ruined her life. She would have had
Right.
combustion and
Yeah.
probably gotten out of the car and come and like made a scene. And so I, instead of like, I just backed up out of that lane and then I zoomed up and I wound up getting 4 places in front of her. But I'm just saying, we have so many people who aren't looking at the mind
Yes.
and the body as one
Yes.
unit. And
Yes.
so you
Yes.
can tell everything's fine. I'm fine. Everything's good. I'm good. I'm good. But your body is telling you, no, sweetheart, we're short circuiting.
Yeah.
You're whatever you're trying to say to yourself isn't working. So doing that inner child work, when you go back to like, just ask your body, what age would I like to bring up right now?
Yes. Yes.
And maybe you may find a clue of why you're so when something occurs, even though you might look like, ah, everything's
Mm-hmm.
great. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a Jack
Mm-hmm.
Russell on steroids, and then
Mm-hmm.
they're chained to a fence. And
Yeah.
then that's how I feel
And there's so
sometimes.
much of the Mars energy. I mean, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, I do always. That's why I like working with archetypes and energy. Is I do like having a depth of knowledge for working with these energies, so that when I see it happening out in front of me with traffic, with certain, that is that I'm like, oh, there's that Mars energy that everybody's feeling, and it's coming up, and it's Aries, and hey, we're getting ready to do a lot of movement with fire energy. That's why I'm saying,
Get a grip,
no,
people. Get a grip. Carry
knowing
around your
how
water bucket.
knowing how to work with that kind of fire, because like I said, think about racehorses, Ferraris. I mean, that's the kind of energy that, like, it's going to be fast and loud. And so enjoying this quiet of the winter, and honoring, um finding compassion, because for the next, with Uranus and Gemini, there's not going to be a lot of compassion out in the collective. It's you're going to see a lot of non-compassionate things. And so being compassionate with yourself in this time, and really being authentically honest, and because this was the year of a great stripping down. And with that authenticity, it comes with compassion for yourself as well. And your inner child, everything goes back to the core. And I know that a lot of people, I didn't have anything that happened in my childhood, oh, I don't
It's in
believe
there.
that. Yeah, I don't believe that, because that's just not the truth of the nervous system. Now, is it a
Mm-hmm.
sliding scale, and how it affects people? And did some people have more foundation of comfort and structure in the beginning? Sure, it's a sliding scale. It's its own harmonics. With everybody's different. Everybody's charts different. It's different. But everybody has something in the nervous system that activates, and when we're familiar with the language, we can easily let it, not easily, but we can transmute that, and really release it cellularly from our bodies. Horses, I'm out here with them now, they're making noises over there. Horses, when they sense danger as their prey animals, they'll go, like this. And they all speak through their hearts. But as soon as they know that danger is gone, they'll go back to grazing. Well, humans can have a moment like this, and so many different ways that can happen to the nervous system. And we think we've moved through it. but it's still being held cellular. And you keep adding those little moments, little moments, little moments, little moments, and then you can have a health problem. So going back to inner child work, I'm reminded why every morning I wake up and I need to get back to kind of saying good morning, all versions of, is there any part of the inner child that's feeling like having a tantrum right now? Do we need to, put on some sort of soothing music and have a conversation? Do you need to be held? Do you need to eat? And just having, even as I say it out loud, I know that that can sound as a grown adult that there's like, whatever, but the inner child never leaves us. Like it's a continuum of our evolution and the times around the sun. And, it's with us always. So having a good relationship with all aspects of ourself is a beautiful thing. It, parts of ourself don't want to be left out. They're part of
Yeah.
us. And so I just really think there are a lot of adults that have that are adult bodies, but absolute infants in their inner world.
Well, I think this is the perfect time of year to understand if you do have some shattered inner child work to do,
Yeah.
because as soon as you get around your parents and other siblings and family, why is it already stirring up beforehand? And then all of a sudden a memory comes up and you're like, I don't like my brother, I don't like my sister, I don't like my sister-in-law. You have all this stuff come up, and then you'll go and be, oh, hi, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is. And then you go away feeling the same ugly tightness,
Yeah.
but another 12 months have gone by. And the more you
Yeah.
tighten it up,
Yeah.
there's a lot of implosion that wants to
And that
happen.
tape keeps running. That is the power
Mhm.
of the subconscious. It's a blind spot. You may not even notice it, but it's still running in your nervous system. That is how powerful this work is, and that is how powerful your nervous system is. That is how magical your body is and your nervous system to heal thyself, to know thyself, and to walk through the world differently when you're being authentic. And it doesn't, there's the hypocrisy with how you truly feel. And it doesn't mean you need to be a jerk to anybody, but it means something to take care of yourself and love yourself and be authentic with yourself. That's love. And you deserve to love yourself. There's nothing, you're not broken, you're remembering. And sometimes remembering can be very difficult because you got to sit with some stuff that doesn't feel comfortable. And that's so worth it to do it. You deserve it. You, as a human being, deserve to love yourself,
Yeah,
all
especially when a
parts of
lot of the
yourself.
physical pain comes from the emotional pain. And, the subconscious to me is just nothing but a 24-hour 7 surveillance camera. It picks
Yeah,
up everything that you don't even remember it picks up,
that's
because
right.
it has a much larger view than just these eyes and the energetic body. It picks up everything. It can zoom in, zoom out. You just become unaware of it, and then things get triggered. And I think what we're at this time of year now where, I'm seeing all kinds of behaviors coming out in people that
Yeah,
I know and don't know. I'm watching
yeah,
it. And I honestly just don't want to be around it.
yeah,
I can just douse love all over myself
yeah,
because that's what I have to do. And then just say, you know what? I think I'd be more comfortable if I had to go to this Christmas party, that I just keep my conversations minimal, because so many people try to dominate with all the problems in their lives that you find they haven't even asked you how you're doing. People like
hmm
that are just in their own inner
hmm
child wounds. And there's a lot
hmm
more to all of that, but it's uncomfortable. But we are at this time where there's Christmas parties, Hanukkah parties, there's,
and
New
there's
Year's coming up,
alcohol. So
tons of
depending on how
alcohol,
heavy people are drinkers,
big time.
that's something to pay attention to as well. Yeah.
Big time. And I actually just did a Christmas party recently, and woo, 50% of the people in that room, I could, whole different faces came out after a drink or two, right?
hmm
And it
hmm
wasn't pleasant actually to watch it from sober eyes, but just
hmm
wasn't pleasant to watch it from my spiritual platform, because
Yeah.
I've done so much work on
Mhm.
myself that I can see it.
Mhm.
Not that I want to look at it and I'm not looking for it. It just presents. And I go, oh, I recognize, I recognize, I
Yeah.
recognize. I'm just going to
Yeah.
back up and just come right over here and just, you know, be the observer. And I don't allow it to affect me. But many people, when you get into a room full of a bunch of people drinking or doing whatever, and they all get on that frequency, boom, the energy goes down in that room. The noise
Yep.
goes up, the energy goes down,
Mhm.
and you can feel it. And sometimes even the next day when you've been removed from it, you can feel almost like you have the worst hangover and you
Yeah.
didn't even participate.
And that's the power of quantum entanglement.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of, and as your gifts and ability grow, you can't help but see trauma everywhere. And it doesn't take a rocket science you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be able to observe and connect some dots. And it's not judgment. It's just like, oh, that's kind of textbook 101 trauma response, or that's textbook 101 haven't dealt with any or haven't done any internal work. And, you know, it always goes back to the inner child. And I will say, and this is for me as well, like doing inner child work. I really the past few years have become very like I really went and did I mean some I went down there and epigenetic wise as well. And uh the last couple weeks I started doing a challenge on inner child stuff because I'm recognizing that the energy right now that's around, that is where the work needs to be done, so that as I move in to this fire horse year, I have a very secure and loved, and I've really come back into a daily like support for that part of me, because that is where my manifestations come from. And that's where, because it's play, it's imagination, it's that magical not living in fear part of me. And there's so much that's coming at us right now that it's very easy to just repress that and be, I got shit to do. I got, I got business. I'm da 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 da. And really the healing and the power is with holding that inner child and saying, you know what? Yeah, I don't need to rush that. I don't need to step out of my alignment, and I don't need to, I can stand up for myself in this situation. And it doesn't mean that I'm, going to be in trouble, or I'm a bad girl, or I wasn't a good girl, or I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. And again, I'm not talking about being rude and like, you know,
Bushwhacking with your truth
yeah,
knife.
reactive, yes, but being responsive and standing in your integrity and your authenticity. And like I said, not being afraid to not be liked, but you're so in love with yourself and you're so in tune with your inner child. You're so in that play and that magic energy that it just feels like a divine union of self. It's a beautiful feeling. Your inner child holds the magic, I promise.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful feeling of wholeness that I'd love to see, people call upon you and maybe do some work with you to at least tap into that, because once you feel that, it's amazing because it unravels so many things. I did a ton of that work during the years where, less work was available and the world was doing what it was doing, 2020 to whatever. I
Hmm.
did so much of that work, and I was quite surprised at the layers and the levels. It went beyond what even I could imagine when I just allowed my inner child to guide me and
Yeah,
talk to me and
yeah,
share with me and bring in the ancestors of family and so on that came through. And it's very powerful. So I'd love to see people, Sedona horse medicine and work with Kimberly and just get a little touch and go of how that feels, because
yeah,
when you want to unravel and have a true healthy adulthood, get back there to the basic, get back there to the
Mhm.
root of it, get back to where it started. And you might be pleasantly surprised at the golden nuggets you actually may find because you misunderstood something and then you allowed yourself to carry a frequency that was unnecessary. So you're almost like you were sabotaging and self-punishing, but because you didn't understand it, because you didn't take the time, nor did you have the tools as we
That's
do
right.
now for the nervous system and the body to explain to you a situation while you're not actually in it,
Yeah.
and let it uncoil and unravel what you've been holding on to. And then the lighter you become and the more compassion, the more love you have, which is
Mhm.
why many people that get to, this parts of our lives who've been doing the work just want to step away. We just want to step away. We have to be in it, but we don't have to be in it in the way maybe our old self was, or others are because they're not so open,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and
open.
I don't think we can be, because when we talk about vibration and frequency, you don't just all of a sudden forget that you're doing the great work. You know that it's a frequency, and you recognize that it's not a personal judgment, it's not a frequency match. And when I'm around this energy, my nervous system constricts. I'm not willing to do that for I'm not willing to do that anymore. I When you know better, you do better. And I love myself too much to now put up with that. And if I have the opportunity to say no, and I just won't subject myself to it. But like you said, on the road the other day, there's still places I have to go that I'm just like, and you see it, the grocery store, the session, you still see it, but you, you don't, it goes back to observe, don't absorb. But I wouldn't be able to have that kind of observe, not absorb, and have this kind of knowledge if I wasn't in love with my inner child, if I wasn't aware of what shadow work was, if I didn't understand, I have a blind spot there because I've had a subconscious tape that's been rolling since I was in the womb. You mean to tell me, no wonder I don't hear it. I don't remember being in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go in and do this kind of work, you will get memories. And not, I don't, maybe some people won't. I don't want to say that it happens for everybody. I can't speak for everybody, but it's been my experience with myself and my clients that stuff comes up and a lot of it becomes epigenetic work. And it's like, oh, wow, you mean I really was an egg in my great grandmother's ovaries and I'm having these memories because I remember, this is
Mm-hmm.
when they talk about bloodline, what this is. And oh my God, I just had that vision of like my grandma in that time. Like that stuff is very common, but then you get to love your ancestors and yourself through it, and you release it, and now you have a completely different relationship cellularly with your system.
Which is your grandmothers and your grandfathers and your
Yes.
cousins and
Yes.
all of those that you never knew. and
Yeah.
and and it's a multifaceted type of relationship, and it's actually
Mhm.
fun,
Mhm.
and it's not so fun, but it
Exactly.
does it does allow your body to release things
Yeah.
that have with more clarity and understanding. But so many of our bodies are being strangled. I mean, we're
Yeah.
literally just so twisted and distorted,
Mm.
that we don't really know what the true reality of anything is because we're living everybody else's life,
That's right.
in this program. And, once you start stepping in, and I think the inner child is an absolute perfect place, Kimberly, to start. And I know you're an amazing facilitator, so I hope people do reach out to you. But I just know for myself in all the years of doing it, and even in this conversation, it's like, I haven't done this for a little while. I think I need to spend some time working with my inner child again. Another thing that's coming up too is like, once you open up these byways and highways and freeways and pathways within your body that have been very locked down or strangled or distorted, so much beautiful creativity comes up, and a lot of emotions of tears and love and joy and compassion and sadness all at the same time all come up And it's almost like you cut all the cords and now you're a puppet on the floor. How do I stand up and be on my own, functioning in this world in a productive, healthy, happy way? But a lot of messages will start coming through, and when they do, it's like, oh, I just thought of someone. I need to pick up the phone and call them right now, right? Or I feel like I'm thinking about this person. I'm not able to reach out to them right now, but I'm just sending them a lot of love. Spirit, remind me later that I need to reach out. Or, and all of a sudden they reach out to you because they listened before you did, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think, well,
Creativity is a, whether you don't have to think of yourself as an artist, but everybody's an artist.
yes,
Everybody, their creativity is a very, very important part of our human experience, and whatever that means for the individual. It find your lane of, find something creative if you can, and tapping into the inner child. Like I said, I couldn't get to my seven, let's say even 7 to 12 maybe, or I couldn't get there. And then it was like, okay, ad libs. And then it was like, okay, at least I know she's in there, but just,
mm-hmm.
and realizing that I needed to sit with her and just say, I thought I've done, uh, nice to see you here. I didn't know that you were hiding in the shadows. I didn't know that you needed me. I didn't know that you were screaming for some sort of creativity or some sort of to let the pressure off because you were going through way too much at your age. You didn't have to be an adult at this age. What do you want to do? I'm here. I see you now. I do apologize for, like, I thank you for protecting me, because if I have that kind of compartmentalization at that age, there is something that she's protecting me from. And so, I'm here now, and now let's play. Let's hang out. And maybe she's going to tell me some stuff that I am ready to remember, that I've blocked out. That's absolutely a possibility. I've been doing this work far too long, and having CPTSD, there are times when, if I have done enough self-healing work and nervous system work, then perhaps that part of me is ready to tell me some stuff that has been so shut down. And that's a fucking gift.
It
That
is
sets me free. That is a
totally.
blind spot. That is a tape that needs to be released, and I am so here for it. And that's when this work, and you know I'm not going to pretend like I know what might happen, what might be said. I have a few ideas, but to be open to, if it's tears and grief and sadness that need to come up and need to be held for a while, then I'll be there for her. But I'm not ever going to abandon myself again to people please and to mask who I really am, or to be liked. I'm not afraid to have somebody not like me.
Yeah. And we're at that point, I think, right now in this year, in this calendar, that that's coming up for a lot of people. And
Mhm.
especially, I think we talked about on a previous episode. By the way, if you all haven't seen them, please go back and listen in because Kimberly's been a regular. But we've talked about, what do we do on these upcoming holidays when we're about to face this, and that? And it's going to stir our soup and it's going to wrench us in different directions and it's going to create a lot of very unnecessary, painful stuff. But it is necessary because it needs to come up because it's saying, hey, look at me, look
Mhm.
where I am, look where I stored myself in your body, look where I stored myself in your mind. What's your behavior during this time? If your body's telling you it feels crippled and locked up, why are you trying to walk normal? you know
Mhm.
why are you
Mhm.
overriding it? Come back here
Yep.
and unwind yourself a little bit. And
Yeah.
you can do this in the I know you do a lot of things on Zoom, so you know people can just make a Zoom session with you and just start on that beginner
Yeah. And I
session and
also have,
decide.
now I have SedonaHorseMedicine.com back. And you can go to my website, and there is a section for my school, my community of Paladins, and you can just join it for free right now. And then I'll be working on doing live sessions, and then I'll have some courses, and there will be some stuff that's very great tools that you'll be able to have for free. Right now, I have the 30-day sunrise challenge on there. And that is just 30 days of greeting the sun and working with an archetype and writing down even just a sentence. And that's a really nice way just to get into the flow and appreciation of a new day, and getting into a flow of even journaling. And I created it because when I stopped drinking and stopped eating processed sugar, I knew that I was going to be coming up against feelings that I had been repressing and coping with ADHD my whole life. And I knew that I love 30-day challenges. I needed something easy, and I knew that I could show up. I knew I could show up. I could do well at that challenge. And I didn't put a lot of parameters or pressure around it. It was for fun. It was for just to sit with myself in a sunrise every day for 30 days. And there's no pressure if you don't do 30 days. It's just there to start a process. So please
Mhm.
feel free to check that out.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And then some people, it's like you may live in an apartment and that's not feasible. Just get in front of a window with the sun
Yeah,
and
yeah,
visualize yourself. Absolutely. I mean, there's so many
absolutely.
ways to do this, but I'm gonna
Absolutely.
sign up for your free school too. I just made
Thank
a
you.
note here. Yes. Well, Kimberly, again, this has been awesome. I love the fact that you're sitting out there in the middle of your horse field. I wish one of them had come up to say
Well, here,
hello.
let's see. Can you see him?
Oh, yes. So, hello.
There's there's some horse medicine for you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would like to just be sitting there right next to you recording this. That would be a hoot, wouldn't it?
Well, you better
Well,
get back here to Sedona.
I will. I promise. I will. I will. I will. All right. Well, listen, we're going to sign off and everybody please like, subscribe, share the
Yes.
videos. Get
And
to
have a
Sedona Horse
beautiful holiday
Medicine.
season. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kimberly. So much love. Bye,
So much love.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.